Have you ever felt your world collapse in an instant, as if all the success you'd achieved was nothing but a house of cards on the verge of falling? Imagine discovering, on the day everything seemed perfect, that there's a life, a daughter, waiting for you for 7 years, and that every silence of yours brought pain and loneliness to the one who loved you most. That deep wound in your heart, that spiritual emptiness consuming your days, doesn't have to be your final sentence. Today, you will learn the only path capable of turning this regret into true redemption. With a power of faith so strong, it dissolves guilt in seconds and restores what seemed lost forever. Stay with this video until the end and discover how a simple act of faith can rewrite your story, bringing back hope and the miracle of a real new beginning. That afternoon in May 2024, Graham woke to the distant sound of sirens and birds heralding a clear day in Charleston. He was a 38-year-old architect, renowned for bold glass and steel projects that transformed old factories into luxury lofts. About to marry Celeste Whitmore, heiress to a real estate empire, his routine seemed flawless. Office meetings, refined riverside lunches, afternoons spent choosing every detail for the upcoming celebration. He lived in a loft furnished with Scandinavian pieces, tropical plants and local artwork, everything reflecting the perfection he cultivated in all areas of life. Yet behind this organized facade, Graham felt a silent emptiness, as if something had been left behind on a day he never learned to cherish. In the bathroom mirror, he studied his tired eyes, unable to hide the restlessness born of unresolved memories. Pouring strong black coffee into a white ceramic mug, his gaze drifted to the elegant handwriting on an envelope resting by the coffee maker. The name Lena Porter was penned in blue ink, the letters so familiar they knotted his throat. Graham held the envelope as if it were a fragment of the past. The seal still unbroken, proof that the letter had never been sent. He remembered Lena's handwriting, firm strokes, leaning gently to the right, conveying the sensitivity she hid behind a reserved smile. For a moment, he was back on that summer afternoon when he last saw her, her brown hair tied in a loose bun, the floral dress hugging her slender waist. Now the wedding invitation for Lena, crafted by the same stationer as his ceremony with Celeste, was an object of doubt and pain. Every second, Graham lingered there, frozen before that envelope, seemed to summon echoes of broken promises and silences louder than any words. His heart pounded when he thought of the daughter he did not know, born of a love muted by ambition and fear of responsibility. The scent of coffee mingled with the smell of paper, creating a timeless moment where past and present collided. With trembling hands, he pressed the envelope to his chest, realizing that in this instant, everything was about to change. That morning, Lena left home holding Ava's hand as they walked along the narrow sidewalks of an old neighborhood, where ivy-clad walls divided simple dreams from complicated lives. She worked at the Harmony Garden, a community space filled with raised beds and repurposed wood benches, teaching children how to care for seedlings and learning that planting was an act of hope. Before entering, she traced the edges of the envelope resting on the mailbox, the cream paper shaped like an unfulfilled promise. Ava, wearing pink butterfly-printed sandals, asked curiously whether the friend she always talked about had finally remembered her. Lena swallowed hard, stifled the tremor in her voice, and said it was just an important invitation, nothing more. In the silence between mother and daughter, Lena felt the weight of sleepless nights spent telling stories to calm a small belly, the same belly now giggling at 6 years old. She tucked the envelope into her pocket alongside her phone, as if hiding a secret to avoid unexpected shocks. As the gate clicked shut behind them, she thought of all the times she'd had to be strong without anyone to share her fear. During an improvised lunch in the garden, homemade bread with blackberry jam that Lena had made the night before, the presence of the invitation pulsed in the pocket of her olive-green apron. Ava chatted about drawings and asked for more butter, oblivious to her mother's troubled gaze. Lena pictured the exact moment she first opened the envelope, inhaling the blue ink scent and the warmth of a distant memory. She recalled the day she discovered she was pregnant, alone in the tiny exam room, hands clutching the nurse's arm as tears fell unbidden. And she remembered Graham never answering her calls, leaving a void she had to fill with courage. It had been years since she revisited those memories, until now. Carefully, she typed a quick message. "I received it. I'll think about it." She sent it to the number she had never deleted. Then she smiled at Ava and said they'd run through the garden before returning to work. But deep down, a silent struggle between her broken heart and her curiosity about what might follow was taking shape. That afternoon, the rehearsal hall at the Whitmore estate was hushed, crystal chandeliers casting silvery reflections across the marble floor. Graham entered in his navy suit and tie, mentally rehearsing each step of the ceremony, when something caught his eye in the corner of a large mirror. There stood Lena, leaning against the wall, Ava huddled at her side, both watching with contained curiosity. Ava wore a simple lilac polka dot dress, her curls held back by a golden clip, and when she met Graham's gaze, her light eyes sparked, as if recognizing a forgotten face. For a moment, everything else slowed. The tinkle of crystal glasses, the hushed murmurs of guests drifting by, the soft echo of footsteps on polished stone. None of it mattered more than that girl before him. Lena stifled a sigh, gripping Ava's small hand, and Graham felt the weight of years of absence tighten around his chest. His heart pounded so hard he feared Celeste, practicing vows beside family, would notice his distraction. It was a silent confirmation that this child, and the woman guiding her, belonged to a part of him he could no longer abandon. Still shaken, Graham forced himself to carry on with the rehearsal, though his heartbeat set a different pace. Every time he glanced up, he saw Ava tracing imaginary circles on the Persian rug and Lena watching with a mix of caution and hope. When the coordinator called for a break, Celeste approached, adjusted his tie, and remarked with icy poise that he seemed distant, as if you're somewhere else. He forced a smile. "Just running through the script in my head," he lied, feeling his voice crack under raw emotion. Celeste arched an eyebrow, her calculated gaze more interested in preserving their public image than acknowledging any human frailty. As she slipped away to guide the bridesmaids, Graham pictured the words he longed to speak, "That girl is my daughter." But something held him back. The weight of a silence he'd borne for years threatened to break him. He leaned against a marble column, feeling its cold solidity beneath his jacket, and realized the life he'd planned with Celeste was quietly crumbling, driven by a whisper too powerful to ignore. The next day, Graham took Ava to the old oak-lined park along Charleston Harbor, where leaves danced on a breeze carrying the scent of salt water. He gently pushed her swing, her clear laughter echoing among ancient trunks. Lena sat on a bench, eyes watchful, heart caught between hope and the fear of being hurt again. Suddenly, a familiar figure emerged from the trees. Celeste, in a white linen dress and expression so stiff it seemed carved from stone, approached without a word, her heels kicking up tiny dust clouds on the gravel path. She surveyed the scene, Graham bending to steady Ava's swing, Lena cradling their daughter's face to keep her from tipping. Celeste lifted her chin, tension crackling in the silent air. Graham turned to her, voice calm though firm. "She's my daughter." Celeste narrowed her eyes, pivoted and walked away, leaving behind an icy hush. That evening, Graham received a message from Caroline, his older sister, asking to meet on the terrace of the apartment they had shared as children. City lights glimmered below, but Caroline's face looked pale and worn, lit only by the glow of street lamps. She confessed she'd known about Ava's birth all along, and fearing scandal, had silenced every attempt Lena made to reach him. Graham felt the ground shift beneath him. This betrayal revealed that not only had he failed, but those who should have protected him had also kept him in the dark. Caroline spoke softly, almost apologetically. "I did it to protect you, but I only postponed the inevitable." He grasped his sister's hand, the weight of her words settling heavily. In that moment, responsibility ceased to be his alone. It spread like an unseen trace among all who, through complicit silence, had contributed to the emptiness now demanding reparation. On the day of the ceremony, the Whitmore estate ballroom brimmed with formally dressed guests, crystal chandeliers shimmering beneath a glass dome. Graham stood at the altar beside Celeste, his heart drumming like it wanted to burst free. When the officiant asked if anyone objected, he inhaled deeply, met the eyes of Lena and Ava in the front row, Ava clutching her mother's hand, her gaze hopeful, and his voice steady declared, "I have something to confess." Celeste went pale, her lips parting. Graham continued, "I have a daughter, Ava, who deserves my love and my presence." A profound hush fell over the room, suspended champagne flutes, stunned faces, interrupted whispers. He turned to Celeste and whispered, "I can't go through with this wedding." Then he took Lena's hand and, together, they walked toward a new life as murmurs of relief and surprise rippled through the guests. In the days that followed, Graham, Lena, and Ava discovered the magic in shared everyday moments. Impromptu breakfasts of golden toast and scrambled eggs, Ava's delighted shrieks as she painted with watercolors on a napkin, Lena tenderly drying her husband's hair with a soft towel she reserved for good days. They strolled through the farmer's market, picking sun-ripened strawberries and talking about dreams long stifled. Graham now woke to a more comforting alarm, Ava's tight morning hug before school. Lena watched from time to time as the ambitious, aloof man she once knew became protective and gentle, balancing the weight of guilt with newfound grace. Every gesture, every shared silence was a step toward a bond growing stronger. Challenges remained, outside judgments and old fears, but for the first time, Graham felt that to start over was not to give up something, but to choose what truly matters. Weeks later, Graham joined Harmony Garden volunteers to rebuild the wooden bridge spanning a small creek through the community grounds. He arrived early, clad in jeans and a simple t-shirt, his hands calloused from drafting tables, learning to swing hammers and saws. Lena arranged the planks, marking precise cuts, while Ava ferried nails and clamps, convinced she was the official helper. Each board fitted into place echoed a metaphor, a piece of the past mended against the current of silence. Neighbors watched with curiosity, and soon the project made local news, but Graham didn't care about the spotlight. His gaze stayed fixed on Lena's smile each time a section clicked into place. As the sun dipped among lavender beds at day's end, the bridge stood firm, its gentle arc over clear waters, and they crossed it together for the first time, a trio united by simple acts and a shared purpose. In that moment, they understood that building connections, like bridges, demanded patience, attention to detail, and a willingness to hold the other end. One mild afternoon, beneath the old oak planted in the garden's quietest corner, Graham knelt before Lena and Ava, holding a matte gold ring engraved with tiny leaves reminiscent of the seedlings they tended. Ava's eyes widened as she reached to touch the delicate band, while Lena felt her chest tighten with emotion. Graham spoke, voice wavering, offering not vows of wealth or perfection, but a promise of presence. In rushed, Coffees, school projects, unexpected laughter, and even shared silences. "You are my new beginning," he said, looking into each of their eyes. Lena's hands trembled as she whispered, "Yes." He slid the ring onto her finger. Ava clapped her tiny hands while a soft breeze stirred the oak's leaves as if celebrating in silence. There, without spectators, bathed in golden light filtering through branches, a real family was born, imperfect but complete.